Hello, besties. Welcome back to this week's episode of your Manifesting Bestie podcast. I'm your host, Flora, and we are diving into all things mindset and manifestation, sprinkled in with a little bit of that divine feminine energy like we always do. And lately, I've been asking you guys to send in your requests to the podcast through Spotify, through YouTube, or just DMing me on social media so I can cover the type of topics you guys find useful in terms of manifesting, in terms of being on your journey to bettering yourself, to self-mastery, to self-concept work. And obviously, you guys know one of my favorite topics ever to talk about, which I love being so vocal and open about, is the topic of money, the topic of abundance, the topic of manifesting more wealth and more prosperity and more abundance into your life. Now, I may be biased because I'm a business owner. It might be because I'm a Taurus. It might also be because I'm a projector in human design. I don't know what it is, but this will always be my favorite topic. I swear I get so excited watching women win, watching women conquer financial success, business models, watching women grow and excel in fields that they were once told was just not for them. They were always told to leave the money to the men. Leave it to the men. But why would we do that? Why would we do that when there's just so much up for grabs on the table? There's so much that women can just take for themselves when they understand how to master themselves, how to master the laws of the universe, and how to tap into their own unique feminine wealth code. Now, there are specific laws that I choose to live by that has allowed me to build a $4 million business from scratch, from the ground up by myself. And I'm very, very proud of that. And I feel like if more people can apply these specific laws, they too can start hitting those seven figures, multi-seven figures in a shorter time frame. We're not talking about 5-10 years down the line. I'm talking about in your immediate future. Because if we understand how to master these specific laws and live by them, die by them, apply them on a day-to-day basis, there's absolutely no way you can't win. There's really no way you're not gonna get ahead. There's no way you're gonna still remain stuck. And I'm a firm believer that if you can apply this consistently and persistently, you are going to be light years ahead in the next 6 to 12 months in your life, especially for my ladies who are business owners, who are building their own brand, or you're a content creator, or you are putting your services out there for the first time. If you can apply these specific laws, you are money. You are gold. You are in it to win it. You are going to succeed so much quicker than the people who are taking a more traditional route to success. So we're going to call these our rich girl laws, and you are going to apply this into your life moving forward starting today, okay? Make that commitment to yourself. We're in September, okay? Today is September 1st, the day I'm recording this. You guys are going to listen to this in 2 days, and I know that you guys can feel this is such an abundant month. Right? We're in the start of Q4 of the end of the year, and Q4 is where the money is at. This is where the most abundance is made in any business, in any niche, in any market, okay? The last 4 quarters of the year is when people are already ready to spend on things. We're now entering the fall and then the winter season. That is when people are ready to spend. Obviously, because it's holiday season, obviously this is when people get revved up. They're like, okay, I have these specific goals I still want to meet by the end of the year, right? They start going hard on mastering themselves, mastering their market, mastering their niche. So I do recommend that you guys take some notes on this so that you can apply it every single day, or replay this episode in the mornings when you're getting ready for work, when you're getting ready for your business, when you're getting ready for pretty much anything. Maybe you're taking a shower, you're doing your skincare. Play this episode so you remember these specific laws. So rich girl law number 1, energy before action. Before you take action in your business, in your career, for your day, for your content, for your brand, you need to first fall into pure alignment. Because if we are acting out of alignment, we start acting out of lack. And who here is familiar with acting out of lack? All of us. Whenever we are not hitting the numbers that we want to hit, whenever we are not seeing the results that we want to see, we start acting out of lack. We start scrambling. Well, what else can I do? And then we start playing the comparison game of why this person is doing better than me. And we start talking down on ourselves or why we're not at a specific level yet. So before we take any action out of lack, we have to first fall into pure alignment. This is the energy work. This is the self-mastery. This is you getting so clear on your self-concept that you energetically show up as her no matter what the external circumstances are showing you. So if the external world right now is on fire, you're not going to be acting out of lack. You have a commitment to yourself to first fall into alignment no matter what is happening throughout your day. This means giving yourself some time in the morning, maybe an extra 30 minutes, to be your own cheerleader. Do the mirror work, do the self-talk practice work, do the morning meditations, do the EFT tapping routine. Whatever it is that you do specifically to fall into energetic alignment to the outcome that you want to manifest is what you have to do first thing in the morning. Okay, this is energetic alignment with the desire. Because this is what people normally do. They wake up, they are in a panic, and then they start taking action. And when we do that, we are scrambling for something to work. We are acting out of panic. Nothing feels aligned. Everything feels chaotic. Everything feels like we are 10 steps behind because our energy is fully aligned with lack. Like something is still missing. Like I am not good enough still. Like I am still unworthy and I'm in comparison. We cannot play this game and expect some type of a successful outcome. So it's energy work first, action second. Don't take action unless you are aligned. If you feel like you are out of whack, you need to regulate that nervous system. You need to do your self-talk practice. Whatever works for you. I have my own 5-step routine. You guys know I've spoken about this so often. And if you're in my membership program, the Self-Concept Mastery Academy, or if you're inside of the Manifesting Millions Blueprint program for my girls in business, you know I have a 5-step manifestation formula that I always follow day to day, no matter what is going on. There's no way I would have been able to build a $4 million business without that. There's no way. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how skilled I am. It doesn't matter how well I speak. It doesn't matter how good this information is. If I'm out of alignment, the customers aren't coming. They're not flocking to me. The money's not rolling in because I'm consistently going to be acting out of fear, out of lack. I had to position myself in a way where it is a must. It's like brushing my teeth. Do I ever leave the house before brushing my teeth? No. Do I even walk down my stairs to walk my dog before I brush my teeth? No. Ew. Why do I want to walk around with some stank-ass breath? I don't. Okay, do I go to bed without taking a shower? No. Taking a shower before I lay in my bed, my clean bed, is a must. Do I go to sleep with makeup on? No. I have to take all my makeup off, do my skincare routine. These are things that are a must. It's a non-negotiable. That's how you need to take your energy work, okay? That's how important it needs to be if you care about money, if you care about abundance, if you want to achieve that next level of success, if you want to be hitting those multi-7 figures in your business and in your brand. Energy first, action second. I live and die by this rule. If you start to apply this, you're guaranteed to win. Rich girl law number 2 is going to be applying the law of detachment. I'm so obsessed with the law of detachment because it really gives the law of assumption a new meaning. So you guys know what the law of assumption is. We've talked about this plenty of times. Is whatever I assume to be true and have a pleasant expectation of it unfolding, it must be so. So my dominant assumptions are what unfold right in front of me. So how does the law of detachment come into play with this? What we have to understand is whatever we feed with our own energy, with our own focus, we keep it alive. That could be for something good and that could also be for something bad. I use the law of detachment to detach from all things unwanted so that way I can place all my energy and all my focus on what is wanted. So normally people think that they have to detach and let go of their goals. We can't. We can't. When I want something, I want something. It doesn't matter how much I distract myself. I want that thing. And I'm like relentless. I'm going to get that thing. Okay, so it's not that I can just detach from the things that I desire. And I don't expect you to do that. That sounds like kind of counteractive. That sounds kind of backwards. That sounds kind of hard. And I get the whole concept of like just letting go and allowing it unfold. But then what do you do in between that? Like there are certain action steps you still need to take to make shit happen, especially when it comes to money. Now, the way that I detach from things unwanted, which we kind of went over in the Law of Detachment episode 1 and episode 2, is anything that pops up within my circumstances that has to do with something I don't want. This could be extra bills coming in. This could be someone trolling me on the internet. This can be somebody talking down about my business or my brand. This could be a bad month financially. This could be low views on social media. It doesn't really matter what it is. We already know what things are unfavorable to us when it comes to money and success. The way that that we can get rid of the unwanted circumstances for the most part. I'm not saying they're never going to pop up, because the law of polarity always exists, meaning the good is always in the bad and the bad is always in the good. Light is inside of darkness, darkness is inside of light. So the law of polarity is always going to exist, but what shows up dominantly is whatever you put your focus on. So if I want to experience less financial hardships and more financial wins, I must starve the focus that I have on financial hardships, right? I have to use a law of detachment and no longer offer energetic responses to the things I don't desire. So if I am having a bad month financially, I'm not going to freak out over that and give it an energetic and emotional response and then freak out and then spiral and then have a panic attack and then an anxiety attack and then talk down on myself and then start playing into comparisons with other people and then throw in the towel and then stop showing up. It's a whole domino effect. The moment a seed of doubt creeps into my mind and I give it an emotional response because it's something I don't want. I'm looking at something and I don't want it. If I offer that thing an emotional reaction, what happens? The spiral goes downward, okay? It's like a poison that creeps into your mind and starts to take over. But here's the truth. There are a million things I can focus on to sprout the seed of in my mind. Why would I give that energy and focus to something unwanted? It's counterproductive to my success journey. It's counterproductive to my abundance journey. That's not what I want. It's not what I desire. So I must starve it of my focus. I can't give it the emotional response it's begging for. Okay, so kind of like what we talked about on those episodes of Law of Detachment. If I go to the mall and I want to buy a really nice pair of shoes, I'm only going to the mall to buy that pair of shoes. So when all those people at the mall, at the kiosk, at the front desk, or whatever store I walk into, they're trying to get my attention to sell me this and sell me that and give me a sample, right? Let me give you this hair care, this skincare. What do? Do I want any of those things? No. They are fighting for my focus. They are fighting for my energy. They want a piece of it. It keeps them alive, right? It feeds them. I'm not there for that. I'm there for the shoes. So I deny everything. I reject it. I act like it's not even there. And it's not because I'm being rude. I just don't have time to focus on all those people. So I literally just look forward. I'm there for the shoes. I don't focus. I don't make eye contact. I'm not there for anything else. I detach from all things unwanted. This is how relentless I need you to be. I need you to look at things and be like, I'm not paying attention to that. I'm not focusing on that. That's not what I want. So I'm not reacting to that. That's it. That is like the bottom line of the law of detachment. And you guys know my story. Before I built a $4 million business, I was a Uber Eats driver girly. I was delivering for Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Instacart. So I was doing anything I can, scrambling to make money to pay back my sister, to pay back loans, to pay back all these things that I had on top of my back and pay my own bills and afford groceries and all these things. As much as I hated that role, I didn't offer an emotional response. It's almost like I went on autopilot. I was doing what I had to do while living in a conscious state of I'm already successful. I'm detaching from my current reality and I'm thinking like I'm already successful. I'm knowing this is just a temporary moment. I'm not freaking out. Oh, but I have, 2 degrees in college and I used to have such a good job. I used to be, getting paid this and this amount. And my parents brought me to this country. I can't be a failure. If I offered all those emotional responses to that current situation, there's no way I would have built a $4 million business from scratch. That would have taken up all my focus, all my energy, all my attention. I would have talked about it, vented about it, cried about it, bitched about it, moaned about it until I just kept regurgitating it over and over. And then what does my reality do? It reflects back those same exact circumstances to me on autopilot. That is just how reality creation works in a nutshell. To avoid it, I cannot live in the energetic state of feeding the things I do not want. Law of detachment means cut it off. You're cutting off the life source of all the things you don't want to fuck with anymore. Rich girl law number 3, and this is such a good one. I must create a safe environment for wealth, meaning my body needs to feel safe holding space for big money, because normally when a person gets a large chunk of money, they have the tendency to splurge it, spend it, blow it, and then they panic and then it doesn't come anymore. Why did that happen? And why is that a pattern that a lot of people repeat? Their nervous system is dysregulated. It doesn't feel safe around wealth. It doesn't feel safe around receiving. It doesn't feel safe around spending. All it really knows is scarcity. So the nervous system feels familiar around scarcity. So that's the threshold it will always bring you back to. Even if you get a chunk of money, even if you have very little money, it's always gonna bring you back to this median threshold of barely having it. This is that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. This is that barely getting by lifestyle. I don't really know what I'm doing lifestyle. If you wanna hold more space energetically for wealth, you need to create safety and security within the body. Somatics. Because the software in the mind that is embedded into the hardware in the body must be in coherence. So my desire, my beliefs, all those things must be in coherence with what feels safe in my body. Nervous system regulation is the third law. Every day, you want to find a practice that regulates your nervous system, because if you're anything like I was, money freaks you out. You feel unsafe, you feel insecure, you feel doubt creeping in, you feel like you're unworthy, you feel all these emotions around money. And what is money? It's just numbers on a screen. We don't even hold money anymore. I can't remember the last time I really held cash or coins. I think it was when I had to put some air in my tires the other day, and I had to get some change to put little quarters into the air machine. You guys know what I'm talking about? That was the last time I held cash, some form of money. Other than that, money is just numbers on a screen. So what do you mean I don't feel safe with that? How destroyed is my relationship with financial security? It's crazy, right? That's really how I was. I was always freaking out around money. I didn't feel safe receiving it. I barely felt safe making it. I always blew it if I had it. Then I would get into some type of financial turmoil where for months I had no income. This was just a cyclical pattern that I just kept putting myself on for 28 to 29 years until I broke the habit or broke the pattern of being myself through nervous system regulation. So if your body can create more space, a higher threshold for money, then more money must flow in. There's more space for it to be held energetically, because money, again, we don't touch it physically, it's an energy. Money is an energy that we use to better our lives, better ourselves, better the lives of other people. Money in the right hands is always a good thing. There is no shame around wanting more and wanting bigger for yourself. So if you can create energetically bigger space to hold money, you are solid. You are gold, okay? You are going to hit higher numbers year after year. Because trust me, I get it. I used to work so hard. I've had 4 failed businesses before the one that actually took off. And I was the common denominator in all of those failures. And I had a very dysregulated nervous system around money. So it would come in amounts and then dip very, very low and then go back up and then dip very, very low. It was so inconsistent, but it was a pattern that I simply just never had enough. It was always just leaving somehow, whether it's my car breaking down or things piling up or losing a job or. It doesn't matter what the excuse or what the reasoning was. It was just a pattern that my pockets kept going empty and I felt like my world was always crashing down. It didn't matter what business I was in, what career I was in, what job I had. That was just my pattern. It was the pattern of my nervous system. Once I began to regulate it, everything shifted. Let's move into Rich Girl Law number 4, which is creating the ideal avatar of the successful self and making a commitment to show up as her moving forward. This is that deeply rooted self-concept work that we refer to. It's the way that we show up energetically. It's the way that we see ourselves in our mind. It's the way that we talk to ourselves throughout the day, the language that we use, which creates new emotions within the body. So you guys remember that episode of method acting that was all about creating an avatar of the version of you who's already successful, who already has the things that you desire, and making the commitment to act like them on a daily basis. What does this actually do? Because someone made a comment on that episode, they're like, well, this is just playing pretend. And I was like, exactly. Because before you fall asleep, you must pretend you're asleep. Before the body gets into that state of sleep, you must first act like you're already asleep. You close your eyes, you turn off all the lights, you close your door, you go into your quiet room, you go under the covers, you lay still, you try not to move because you pretend you are sleeping so the body gets the signal that we are safe to sleep, and then it will drift off into sleep unless you're one of those psychopaths that can just fall asleep on a dime. I don't know who you are, but I'm very envious of you. I don't have that ability. I must play pretend like I'm asleep before I can actually sleep. So the concept of method acting is the same thing. I must act like I am the successful self to give my body the cue that we can enter this new timeline. That this is not just playing pretend anymore. These are subconscious beliefs that are taking hold of my body. And then what happens when I keep acting like that consistently? The nervous system catches up and it adjusts itself. It recalibrates to this new identity that you have been so consistently embodying. So how does that version of you behave? Think of the way that she would talk. Think of the way that she would carry herself. Think of the way that she shows up online. Think of the way that she presents herself in her appearance, in her physical health, her mental health, her emotional health, her spiritual health. Think of her daily actions and habits. Who is she? You have to create an avatar of her and bring her to life like she's a video game character. And you're gonna tap into that video game character every day. You can call it playing pretend. I'm gonna call this method acting because we are filling this space with a new identity. And then once the impressions hit the subconscious through repetition, it becomes who you are subconsciously. And when your identity changes subconsciously, the 3D world changes externally because as within, so without. The external world will catch up and start mirroring back to you exactly who you have been showing up as. So if you show up as an abundant individual, a successful individual, you present yourself as her, you talk like her, you move like her, you feel like her, you dance like her, you sing like her, you act like you are the person who just simply cannot lose. Your 3D world is going to reflect back the same exact results to you. It happens like clockwork, okay? This is something that simply doesn't fail because reality creation has a formula. That's why I teach manifestation, because the formula doesn't fail as long as the individual continues to persist. I've used this formula for everything, guys. To manifest a $4 million business, to manifest a big community on social media, to create a super successful podcast, to manifest a $1.5 million dream home that I purchased, to manifest my dream car. I'm actually about to buy my second car in a couple of months, my Lamborghini. I'm so excited. The formula simply doesn't fail. That's why I teach it over and over and over again. If you guys are in Self-Concept Mastery Academy, which is the manifestation membership, you are so familiar with this formula because I preach it day to day. This is how I've taken women who are making $0 to multi-six-figure business owners. And the last time I counted, we've had 33 women become 7-figure business owners. That is so incredible, so mind-blowing because the formula works. If you apply it, you're consistent with it, you show up energetically, and you follow that proven 5-step method, it's gonna work for you. If you guys want more information on how the formula works, just click the links below this episode. I'll share my Manifestation Academy below so you guys can tap in and tune in to access that same formula. Now let's move on to Rich Girl Law number 5, being a person of value. Because you become rich when you enrich the life of others. That is exactly how I became who I am and how people go from rags to riches. They become a person of value. They are adding value to the lives of others. So ask yourself, how can I become a more valuable person? How can I create impact in the lives of other people? Do I need to read more? Do I need to develop better skill sets? Do I need to share my life experiences? How can I add incredible value to someone's life? How can I help somebody solve a specific problem that they're struggling with? Because a person who enriches the life of those around them will always become rich. You are proven to become a wealthy individual when you help the people around you. You have certain skill sets, you have certain problem-solving assets that you can share with the world that will add value to people's lives. When I started all of this, I had no idea it was going to become a business. Long before I was a mindset and manifestation mentor, I was actually holding it was either a 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. book club for girls every single week, strictly on personal development. It's because I loved reading this material, I loved teaching it, I loved sharing it, it. I was very new at it, but I was like, this is just so exciting. I want to share this with the world. Everybody needs to hear this. This can help anybody in any situation. I was so turned on by personal development, by the mind, by how the subconscious works, how reality creation works, that I decided to do a book club. It was free. It was something I never got paid for. I did not see a dime. I would wake up early and make sure I have all the information ready to present. I was so into it. I just did it because I loved it, but that was adding so much value to the lives of other people. It was enriching their lives. Even though I wasn't charging, I was doing it for free, right? It's just because I was passionate about it. I loved it. When you do something that enriches the lives of other people, you are destined to become a wealthy person. Because it's something that is coming from the heart. It's something that is coming from your higher self. It is your passion in life. It is your destiny. It is the path that you follow. You have certain things inside of you that no one else can replicate, no one else can duplicate. But as soon as you share it with the world, you are going to enrich so many lives. You are going to change so many people's minds and hearts. You are going to create such a beautiful impact that you're like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? So you become rich by enriching the lives of those around you. So ask yourself, how can I become a more valuable person today? How can I show up with more value for the world? How can I become the vessel to improve the lives of others? Some people call this the vessel of God. Okay, how can I become a vessel to help those around me, to have a real mission? So you should be striving for becoming more valuable every day, sharpening your skill sets, remaining a student. No matter how good you are at something, always remain a student. There's always more to learn. There's always new perspectives, new outlooks, right? That can enhance your skill sets, your knowledge, the way that you show up, and enhances your value. The more you learn, the more valuable you become as a person. And valuable people get paid a lot of money because you are high value. You are worth a lot. Your presence alone is immeasurable. It's a gift to so many people. So when you're a valuable individual, you're about to get paid. It's just what it is. So find ways to add value to the lives of others, and you are set for success. That is something that no one, no economy, no market, no niche can ever take away from you, is your own value. And the last law number 6, is always making sure to apply the appreciation principle. If you listen to the law of abundance episode, the appreciation principle, whatever we focus on grows 10 times more. It turns into an overflow. This is written in religious scripture. A grateful heart will always receive what he or she is grateful for, but an ungrateful heart will lose what it already has. So what this tells us is if we can focus on gratitude and appreciation of what currently is, then what currently is must multiply. So I would celebrate the success of my business before it took off. I would celebrate thousands of clients rolling in before I even had one. I would throw a party for them in my mind. I would say it out loud how thankful I am that they are showing up and they are loving my services. Okay, so I would celebrate my wins before they were actually present. This is again playing pretend, as some people would say. I call this energetic alignment, to be honest. Celebrating the success of my business. This is the pre-celebration method. So the more that I focus on appreciating things that I want, that I desire, the more that those things must multiply in my life. Because everything comes in abundance. If I focus on the lack, I will receive an abundance of a lack. If I focus on what is good in my life, like the air in my lungs, like the food I get to eat, the water I get to drink, the shelter I get to sleep in, the car I get to drive, the social media I get to use for free, right? All these things I can appreciate, I can love on. It will amplify my success. Do it for your clients, do it for your money. Every dollar you get, you want to show appreciation for it. Every dollar you spend, you want to show appreciation for it. I get to pay my bills. I get to put gas in my car. I get to feed other families with this money, right? That is how the appreciation principle will 10x your money. No matter who you are, no matter what your starting point is, it will multiply your abundance because that is how universal laws work. Everything comes in abundance. It depends on who you are as the individual and what you are choosing to focus on. So if you're someone who is like, I only had 5 clients come in this week, guess what? Next week you're going to have 0 because your perspective sucks. Honestly, your perspective sucks. You can't even show appreciation for 5 people who are into you, who are into your business, who bought in. You can't show appreciation for that. You want to complain about it rather than throw a freaking party for it and amplify the success of those 5 people. Because the following week, those 5 will turn into 15, and then 30, and then 100. But if you cannot appreciate the 5 turns into a 2, the 2 turns into a 0. That's just how the law of abundance is going to work for you. So make sure you are on the right side of this law and you're applying it in the right way. Showering things with appreciation is how they grow. Okay, so whatever you are planting seeds on, whether it's lack or abundance, whether it's fear or faith, it will grow. The seeds will grow and they will blossom and they will come in abundance, just like a garden that you grow out in the yard. Everything grows in abundance. The law of nature is the law of abundance. That is how we apply the appreciation principle. So if you can apply these 6 laws, you are destined to become a wealthy individual. You are destined for money. You are destined for opulence, for wealth, for riches. And it's gonna come in a surplus where you're like, damn, this came so fast, it showed up so quickly. Why didn't I fall into alignment sooner? I was always fighting with my reality, battling with people, arguing with myself, talking down on who I am. I could have just looked the opposite direction and went a different route. I could have just did the opposite of what I was currently doing. It takes just as much energy to shower my reality with appreciation as it does to shower my reality with lack and fear and uncertainty and doubt. So if it takes the same amount of energy, I might as well be doing the right thing. I might as well allow universal laws to take over. Hack my reality. Open it up to receive more and more wealth, more and more abundance. No matter what you are doing, you can open up your receiving channels by applying these rich girl laws. I live and die by them. I will always remain the billboard for these principles, and I ensure that if you follow them too, you'll become the next $1 million success story. If you guys need help with these resources, you want to know how to use these formulas, how to fall into pure alignment energetically, tap into the manifestation membership. This is how I teach people how to tap into their own abundance, how to transform every single aspect of their self-concept to really get into reality creation, manifestation, universal principles, because it just doesn't fail. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of your Manifesting Bestie podcast, and we will be back again next Wednesday with a brand new episode.